Welcome to Moscow, Idaho. The Idaho Vandals up against the Montana Grizzlies tonight in Big Sky basketball. Trevor Williams alongside Chance Garvin and the rest of our ESPN Plus crew inside of ICCU Arena. Idaho coming off of a big win this weekend against Weber State, who was the #2 team in the Big Sky. Montana just took down Portland State. Got to take care of Idaho and Southern Utah here coming up this week. To see the starting five for the Vandals, who start with the ball. Chance, a big opportunity for Idaho to harness that momentum from Saturday when the win over Weber State.
Yeah, definitely another big game with Montana. You know, always a good team in the Big Sky Conference. Idaho's going to have to do a good job tonight playing offense. With Montana playing a really tight defense, playing in those passing lanes. So we'll see what they can do.
We saw Trevante Anderson miss that first shot. You see the starting five on screen for the Grizzlies. It's no Mac Anderson tonight. He's missing another ball game, 2 straight with a hurt elbow. Beasley, the third, into the corner, in trouble with the shot clock, and the 3 missed for Carter Hollinger, and it's coming back to Idaho.
Yeah, and that was a good look at Montana's offense. What we're going to see tonight, they play a very good 4-out-1-in offense where they just drive and kick the ball.
So empty on the first 2 possessions for Idaho and Montana. Boy, Anderson and Mikey Dixon for Idaho had a big game on Saturday combined for the guards. Yusuf Salih for Idaho here, and he works baseline for a bucket. Double figures in 4 games this season, and he opens the scoring for Idaho tonight. Whitney the other way for the Grizzlies, and Brandon Whitney answers Yusuf Salih. Leader in minutes for this team, 11-time double-figure scorer Brandon Whitney, and the Californians averaging 11 points a game, right up there near the team lead. Dixon fouled coming over the top. Chance, Montana, they're a team that they pride themselves on the defensive end, and they're a tough scheme sometimes to figure out. Of course, Idaho, offensively, they're strong, but it juxtaposes well tonight. Good offense, good defense.
Yeah, we're going to see a great game tonight. I feel like Idaho being able to play off their screens, pick and rolls, can get Montana on their heels. I mean, we can see a good offensive game tonight, too.
Anderson throwing it away to Lonell Martin Jr. Whitney right back to work and rising up against Salih, but couldn't cap it. Christensen with the rebound for the Vandals, and the second-year freshman Tanner Christensen had a big game on Saturday with 10 points and 8 rebounds for Idaho. Got his first board of the game tonight. Mikey Dixon swatted by Scott Blakeney, and almost looked like it came back down off of Dixon. And welcome back to Moscow, Scott Blakeney.
Yeah, I'm sure he had this date marked down on his calendar all year.
A transfer from Idaho, has played in 20 games now in his first season in Montana. Dixon weaving in and out of traffic. Salih fires home a 3, and he's got all 5 to start for the Vandals. Good start for Yusuf Salih. Easily the third down into the post. A turnaround move and a miss for Josh Bannon. Bannon's the bell cow of the Montana offense, 14 points per game. Anderson inside to Christensen, working against Blakeney. Back outside. Smith trying to split the traffic. Christensen staying with it. Good body up Blakeney for the finish. You could feel the Vandal fans wanting that. There's something about when a guy comes back into your gym, transferred away from your school. A 3 for Bannon, and that's off the mark. Bannon not afraid to stretch it out as the big man. Dixon hitting the side of the iron. Blakeney on the defense. Whitney firing corner to Beasley the third. He comes up empty from 3. Oh, a 3 start from distance for Montana.
Looks like Coach Claw is slowing it up. Maybe feeling a little bit too rushed early on here.
This is kind of the way it started for Idaho. Of course, they jumped out to a 12-0 lead against Weber State. on the weekend, but it was a tough shooting start for the Wildcats that plagued them in Moscow. Anderson only 4 on the timer. He sees it late, having to step back for 3, does just graze iron. That was a tough late shot clock sequence for Trevante Anderson. Beasley the third working on Anderson, and he swatted it out of play. It'll stay with Montana, but not after our first timeout. Not a lot of scoring early. Yusuf Salih pacing the Vandals. They lead by 3 back after this on ESPN+. All right, Montana basketball out of the first media timeout. Whitney had the first bucket. Blakeney collecting the air ball, and a nice finish under the cup for Scott Blakeney. And Blakeney averaging 4 on the season, did score 8 in the first meeting against Idaho. He's obviously going to have no trouble getting up for tonight's game.
Yeah, a little bit extra motivation for him.
Granted, not a lot of holdovers from the Idaho team that he played with. The heavy percentage of new players for Idaho this season, and transfers and all kinds of differences for Zach Claus's team. Still going to be Idaho basketball, 7 left on the shot clock. Vandals had a tough year last year, went 1-21, finished last in the Big Sky. They've picked up some interesting wins this season. Mikey Dixon in traffic, bouncing out to Trevante Anderson. Only 2 on the shot clock,
wow.
and Pepple Jr. finishing at the rim. Kind of desperation, but it worked out.
Yeah.
Mentioning odd wins for Idaho, South Dakota State, Weber State. I mean, South Dakota State is 23-4 this year, and one of the pride teams of the Summit League.
Yeah.
And then nobody saw the Weber State final come in this last weekend. Salih fouled going up for the shot, and he's already got a chance to add to it. It's been a good start for Idaho, Chance, and it's really been keyed up by what they've done on the defensive end.
Yeah, being able to contain those drivers and being out there on closing out on the shooters. They've been doing a pretty good job lately.
Whitney picked up the foul, his first. We see the last call with Salih getting to the line for point number 6. He's come in with a driver's mentality tonight.
Yeah. Good drive, drawing that contact. Never know when a ref's going to call that.
And splits a trip at the free throw line. So the Vandals have an 8-4 lead early. Cameron Parker's into the contest for Montana. He found a wide open Carter Hollinger on the baseline for a bucket. Carter Hollinger was a bench player to start the year, has started the last 12 games now for Montana, including tonight.
You see Montana denying the Idaho going over those screens, making it hard for Idaho to come off these pick and rolls.
And it's an active man-to-man for the Grizzlies. They've forced Idaho deep in the shot clock multiple times. Anderson trying to create the contact. Only 3 left for Salih, but he uncorks another one for the Vandals.
Salih came ready to play tonight. Wow.
He has 9 of 11 for Idaho, and he's a point away from double-figure game number 5 on the season. Answer the other direction, though, for Cameron Parker, the new check-in, and a chance for a 3-point play.
That's one thing Idaho's got to watch is Parker. He's a great drive and dish type of guy, but when he feels he can take you down low, he'll take you all the way to the rim.
Jamil King picks up the fouls. We look back at it here. Easy call, got him on the forehead. So Cameron Parker, the 6th man for Montana, 9 points a game, and he's got his first 3 now after that. And 1. That's exactly what Montana needed, just to kind of stop the hot start for Yusuf Salih. Bounces Kilgore this time, and Kilgore took some contact. Pemple Jr. nearly put it back. Now Parker running the floor to Whitney. Parker wants to take Salih and finishes around him with the left hand. Good little burst of energy that Cameron Parker's provided right away to get this game back even. King had it stripped from behind. Kilgore is going to recover to it. Yeah, his defense, they're active for Montana.
Yeah, they give you no space out there.
3 to shoot. Anderson just in the nick of time, and the Vandals, they've been flirting with that shot clock so far here in the early portions of the first half, and for the most part, faring okay. First points of the night for Trevante Anderson. Parker was feeling it, wanted the 3 to make it 3 straight buckets for him on trips down the floor. Zach Claus will tell his guys to slow it down. He's got subs waiting. Did make a few changes at the last timeout with Pepple Jr., King, and Kilgore. Salih, who's had the hot hand early, chance for a 3-point play for Yusuf Salih. And you said it, Chance. He pumped his way into the lane, got the hesitation, and that drew the and one.
Yeah.
Made his 9th start tonight as a true freshman. You see Trevante Anderson taking his seat for Idaho. But Yusuf Salih already staring, 13 points right in the eye, and that's a career high on this freshman season for Yusuf Salih. Gabe Quinnett will check in for Idaho. Rashad Smith back in as well, and Tanner Christensen. Montana mostly rolling with the same 5. They brought back Blakeney and Lonell Martin Jr. Bannon, no points here in the early going, and got fouled trying to get around Christensen.
Man, you see Montana out there just playing patient, you know, moving the ball around the 3-point line. You got to drive, and I mean a foul. So
got a chance for free throws when we come back. It's a 5-point lead for Idaho early. So you're watching Big Sky Hoops tonight, Montana. Big game for the Grizzlies here on ESPN Plus. Travis DeCuire's inside that huddle for the Montana Grizzlies. A 17-9 season. 2 wins for every loss in Big Sky play this year, and Travis DeCuire's carved out a fantastic little stretch at Montana. 8th season for DeCuire. Last time out, career win number 159. That passed Wayne Tinkle to move into 2nd all-time at Montana. He's got a little ways to go. 61 wins left to catch the all-time lead. That's George Jiggs Dahlberg, who he's got the arena named after him.
Yeah.
So if you catch the guy who's got the arena named after him, you're doing pretty well. And a free throw missed by Josh Bannon, fouled before the timeout. But you know, it was interesting. Zach Claus post-game of Weber State on Saturday, he was talking about, okay, you know, maybe Weber State, if you take the decades, they're 1A in the Big Sky, but Montana's 1B.
Yeah, for sure.
And you get to play them back-to-back, chance to pull a couple upsets if you're Idaho. First point for Bannon, the leading scorer for Montana out of that timeout. See, Idaho started 6 of 13 from the floor. They're leading on the glass as well. That was a recipe for success against Weber State. Christensen, timer again, is going to get under 5. King got to rise up for a 3, and he buries it.
Man. Tough shot.
Another 3 for King, who's a 36% three-point shooter. He's had a nice senior campaign for the Vandals. Parker in on King, and King draws the charge. No, they're going to say count the basket.
Oh, wow.
Parker gets the make, a foul on King, chance for a 3-point play once again for Cameron Parker.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Moving his feet just a little too much.
I can only see the tail end of the motion. I saw the hand out. Great start for Cameron Parker. That's 7 points.
That's something you want to see out of your six-man.
Yeah.
Having someone come out and be ready and be engaged in the game and have like an extra spark,
Especially when it starts a little flat on the offensive end.
Yeah.
2 3-point plays for Parker. They'll take a seat now, 4-point game. Montana bringing in Josh Vasquez for the first time. Gabe Quinnett bouncing down to Tanner Christensen. Blakeney holding his spot, forced a tough shot, and then gets a nice rebound. He's got the left shoulder heavily wrapped as well, Scott Blakeney. Bannon's going to get fed in the post against Smith, and he traveled. He's coming back to Idaho. That's something you don't get a lot against Montana is turnovers. That's the first against the Grizzlies tonight. They're one of the better teams in college basketball in limiting turnovers, only 10 per game. That's 19th in the nation. Foul against Vasquez. But they're the second best free throw shooting team in the nation, Montana. Top 20 in turnovers allowed. And they do a great job on defense. That's a recipe for a lot of wins.
Yeah, definitely. And Montana's been known for all of those things for multiple years. And that's why they're always good every year.
And Anderson up and down, didn't have anywhere to go with the pass. So that'll be turnover number 2 for the Vandals. Pretty clean start, really, for both of these offenses in terms of keeping possession of the basketball. Both shooting about the same from the floor, but Idaho has 3 threes. Montana's 0 for 4 from downtown. Beasley, the third, stepping it back. A little long. All the visiting teams this year in the Big Sky, their first trip through ICCU Arena. Beautiful new venue here in the conference. Up until now, Idaho played a combination at Memorial Gym and the Kibbe Dome. Dixon. That's a tough finish around Blakeney. That's for the first points for Mikey Dixon.
That's just something he's done all year, though.
Yeah, he's been great at getting to the basket. Very crafty. Blakeney staying with his own miss off the backboard. That's a drill in practice right there. Just keep tipping it off the glass and stayed with it for the bucket. Yeah, Dixon's been really effective on the dribble for Idaho. He's going back to it here again. And this time draws a block. And he'll get shots out of this as well on Vasquez's second foul. He's so quick, Chance.
Yeah. Vasquez has always been a great defender, and you see Mikey. I mean, those two together playing against each other is fun to watch.
So a couple free throws for Mikey Dixon. He is the leading free throw shooter in the Big Sky by percentage. Couldn't can his first there. 4th leading scorer in the conference, Mikey Dixon, almost 18 points a game. And he's shooting 44% from 3, so he's red hot all over the floor. And he picks up the back end of that trip to the line. This is a much better start for Idaho than the first time around when they played Montana on the road. The Vandals were down to 7 players on that night.
Yeah, 2 coaches.
It's the reality of COVID this year. And Gabe Quinnett, the Moscow native, sinks a 3 for Idaho and forces Travis DeCure to take a timeout.
Man, Idaho's feeling it.
The Vandals, they're playing spoiler this year in the Big Sky, especially of late. Just picked up a win over Weber State and now leading Montana by 8. We take a timeout. We'll come back with more first half action. ESPN Plus. All right, Zach Claus has his Idaho Vandals out to an 8-point lead tonight against Montana. Montana could move into 4th in the Big Sky potentially tonight with a win. Coming off a signature win against Weber State. And, you know, I love he's got the energy, the passion going for this Idaho team. It would be so easy at this point in the year, Chance, 6-18, 3-11 in conference play for the guys to just pack it up. But they have not done that. And they're still playing with a lot of heart. They force a third Montana turnover.
Yeah, definitely, especially this season. Idaho's just one of those teams that you really don't know what you're going to get that night.
Yeah.
And especially against the bigger teams. I mean, you see them come out ready to play.
Yeah, you see the lost footing there for Carter Hollinger. That's really been the story this year for Montana. I mean, you go all the way back to the first game, I mean, for Idaho, against Long Beach State. You know, it was another team that's been really impressive out of the Big West. They're leading that conference, and Idaho took them to overtime in a packed house. Blakeney again on Christensen, and Christensen called for a foul against Blakeney. Those two are having a good battle down in the post.
Yeah, ex-teammates. Got to see that a lot last year.
You know, it's funny because Blakeney helping polish up Christensen really is a second-year freshman. A guy who's likely going to be a formidable force for Idaho. He's had a really impressive second year. Bannon, nice finish on the hook shot. Good extension, he's got 3. And Montana's looking to get him going. Their leading scorer had just the single free throw to this point. Anderson down in the post. He's spinning his way down. He was chopped.
Martin Jr. playing great defense down low. Taking away that spin.
That tells you how strong Montana is defensively. I mean, they can guard it man-to-man without problem. They communicate well. Of course, they have a pretty deep bench, which helps. Keep the guys fresh to play that level of defense. It's no wonder why Travis DeCuire is up to 159 wins in his 8-year Montana career.
Empty side.
It closed up quickly on Dixon, and he rolled it out. That was thanks to that help defense again. Montana trying to put together a couple trips. It's Parker who's been hot. 11 points for Cameron Parker. Had a couple old-fashioned three-point plays and then steps it back that time.
Yeah. You know, players like that, it's hard because you see him as a driver and then he steps out at the three-point line.
And Shavonte Anderson using the speed the other way. He is a driver. A couple guards on this team that are really driving kick mentality in Anderson and Dixon. They're not just sitting around the three-point line waiting to catch and shoot. Parker right back the other way. What a game for Cameron Parker, the senior from Beaverton, Oregon. 13 points here in the first half. So now we seesaw late in the half, and the Vandals off target. Lionel Martin Jr. picking it up. Down to the baseline. Bannon's on the backside off the miss from Beasley. Stays with it, and fouled by Rashad Smith. Look back at this, Bannon just stayed with it. See the swipe on Smith. There's good persistence in the post though for Bannon, really 3 opportunities. Missed the first free throw. That's rare in and of itself with this Montana team. They are outstanding from the line, 81%. That is second in the nation to only Villanova. Bannon gets the second. This was a good three-point shooting team last year. They broke records. They're trying to top them. Dixon under the basket. Again, these guards continue to drive for Idaho. And the Vandals have benefited all over the floor from it this year because they've shot the three really well too. So the drive and kick has been there.
Definitely a hard team to guard just because they're able to shoot from the three and be able to make shots down low and drive the ball.
Josh Bannon starting to get it going here over the last few minutes, up to 6 points. He's scored in double figures in 12 of his last 13. And he leads Montana with 8 rebounds a game as well. Important post player for the Grizzlies. Dixon, you can tell he's getting in the zone. Little off the mark.
Tough shot.
They're going to have a flop coming up on Dixon at the next dead ball as well. A kick to the corner. Lionel Jr., he buries a three. Lionel Martin Jr. for Montana puts them ahead. And the officials are going to issue the flop warning against Mikey Dixon as well, as Montana has its first lead of the game with 4:37 left in the first half.
Yeah, Montana definitely not just giving this game away.
We're down by 8 at the last called timeout by Travis DeKeer. Chance to stretch the 1-point lead now. Comes over corner. This rims out for Beasley the third, and the Vandals clear it. Now it's up and down. Dixon blocked by Carter Hollinger. Late in the half, the crowd's coming alive too. More and more students filling in the ICCU Arena, and folks energized by the recent play. Would have been easy to have a big letdown last weekend, Chance, after the Vandals fell to Idaho State, a rival.
Yeah.
They dug a huge hole in that game. But the way they've responded has been really impressive.
Yeah, which is, you know, you see them lose to one of the bottom teams in the league and then bounce back again on Saturday and beat Weber State. You know, that just shows that they want to be here. They want to win, you know, and sometimes it's hard in a team when you've been losing all season.
Pepple Jr., big time block. Kings out and running. Kilgore trying to slice in, and he finishes off the window. I was going to say it's been odd for Mikey Dixon, 1 of 3 free throw start, but good defensive possession, and Kilgore finishing the other way, bails him out. Bannon kicking out, and now Beasley the third does get his first three. He's nearly a 40% three-point shooter, and he had started 0 for 2 from beyond the arc tonight, but gets his first. And now a takeaway by Parker. Parker over the shoulder. What a pass to Beasley the third. Great find by Cameron Parker, who leads Montana with 13 points, but was unselfish.
See Montana's defense really starting to get going here.
Dixon trying to step it back. That's a tough shot. Blakeney gets the rebound. Both sides here at a quick clip. Pepple Jr.'s second block. He's starting to feel it down there. And wanted to get to it again, but Bannon finishes this time.
Bannon just going right back into him.
Montana is on a 12-2 run over the last 2.5 minutes. 7-0 over the last 60 seconds of play. Dixon, that's a tough three. Was off the mark from the start, and Parker lets it go. Last touched by Pepple Jr. It'll be a timeout as well. So a little 7-0 burst for Montana. Has them out to their largest lead on ESPN+. All right, the Montana Grizzlies on a 12-2 run, 37-31 their lead. Chance, they called a timeout down 8. Now they've flipped the game, and you've mentioned it, they've ratcheted it up on the defensive end as we see a team that's fared really well against Idaho over the years, but defense has been a big reason why, especially of late in the last 5 meetings.
Yeah, no, definitely. Coming in, we talked about Montana being a great defensive team, and you know, they're playing great defense, but Idaho was just knocking down shots. But now you see, they're taking the ball away now. They're playing better team defense. You see them in the help side, and which is transitioning into offense for them. So
Yeah, it's a series, as you saw, that dates back to 1915. And well-attended game usually. It is tonight as well. Vandals got a hot start early from Yusuf Salih, 12 points, which is a high for the Vandal freshman. But it's Montana basketball. So the Vandals couldn't finish a rebound. Idaho does get back here. Bannon, that's a nice move in the post for Bannon, and that's just a guy with a little more experience going up against Christensen and getting the job done.
Yeah, you see that little short pump fake there, and then the spin and turn around off the glass. Getting Tanner in the air, just that split second makes all the difference.
Vandals have brought Salih back in. Anderson trying to split a pair and got fouled. So a couple free throws coming up for Trevante Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
See him get it from Blakeney. And Montana, we mentioned, important game tonight. They're right on that cut line of the first round bye in the Big Sky Conference tournament. And you know, they're chasing their rival at the top of the Big Sky standings, Montana State, who's won 11 consecutive, pacing the conference at 12-2. That first round bye is so critical, especially in these conferences like the Big Sky, where really no matter how great of a regular season you have, you've got to turn it on come tourney time.
Yeah, really. The last 3 games of the 3 or 2 games of the season are the most important, and you know that one game bye is big time, just because 3 games versus even just 2, it's hard on the body.
That's such a tough reality of these conferences, where we've seen it throughout the year. Great play in the Big Sky, and Bannon's gonna get the push. The Aussie pleading his case, but he took down Trevante Anderson. Not much what you would expect there. Vandals still in the single bonus. It's Bannon's first foul. Anderson hits the front end. He tied a career high with 26 points last time out. He's top 10 in the conference in assists per game, a transfer from San Francisco, but misses the second. Played his high school ball, Trevante Anderson, over in Western Washington at Rainier Beach High School. They turn out tremendous basketball talent, and this pops right into Anderson's hands from Bannon. King wide open for 3, where the Vandals could have used that.
Yeah.
Final minute of the first half. Parker's had an outstanding first half, the 6th man with 13 points. 20 is season high. And he couldn't finish on that trip to the basket, was looking for 15. The Vandals still hanging right in there. Big offensive possession, likely their last of the half. Salih hedged off at the end line, 10 to shoot. King, Christensen laid a huge screen and then got open, and we'll have free throws. Man, it was a clean screen from Tanner Christensen, but
definitely a big body to run into on a screen.
He buried Lonell Martin Jr., and then all Montana could do was foul him on the recovery. Beasley picking up his first. And Christensen blanks on the first. Tough start for Christensen. No points here in the first half. He's been better than 70% from the floor 5 of the last 6 games.
Yeah, well, you just see the Montana's post defense has been outstanding tonight.
It's a different level of post than what he's seen most of the season.
Yeah.
5-point game. Final possession of the half should belong to the Grizzlies. Parker's being pressured by Anderson. Vandals have forced 5 turnovers, only committed 4. 7 seconds left, and Idaho fouls him. They had one to give there. Only the 6th against Idaho, and it's the 1st on Anderson. That gives Montana a little less real estate to work with on the clock. That'll be a smart foul to take for the Vandals, making this a little tougher possession to end the half. Parker giving it up, and a 3 knocked in by Lonnell Martin Jr. just before the horn.
See Idaho trying to almost look like they wanted to switch that, but they weren't too clear. The communication wasn't there, and one person was switching and the other one wasn't. Montana taking advantage of it.
Good end of the half for the Grizzlies. 8 points matches their largest lead. We've got halftime next on ESPN Plus. Back inside ICCU Arena. Pretty nice student turnout for the Idaho Vandals tonight. They trail the Montana Grizzlies by 8 at the half, 42-34 the score. And back courtside now, Trevor Williams with you alongside Chance Garvin. And Chance, good finish to the half for Montana after Idaho came out with the hot start.
Yeah, definitely. Idaho came out, shooting well, playing good against that Montana defense, finishing their shots. But Montana, after that one timeout, they came out ready to play. Their defense playing at a higher level now, and it's translating into their offense, being able to score more and being able to, make an impact offensively as well.
Yeah, it was an impressive start for the Vandals. Yusuf Salih, he took control of things early, actually ended up with a season high just in the first few minutes of this game tonight. On the other side, it was Parker for Montana coming up with the big minutes early on to help lead the Grizzlies.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier in the game, having a 6-man that can come out and make a game impact like that, that's something every team needs, and Parker's doing a great job of that tonight.
And Cameron Parker in the first half, 13 points for him to lead the way for the Grizzlies. And they've been impressive in the post as well. That's what we expected. Idaho's found some success getting the guards down there, but there's a lot of work to do so far tonight for Idaho. This game's important for Montana in the Big Sky because they're sitting right on that cut line in that 5th place spot. They've got a little buffer room with Eastern Washington chasing them, but all these games now critical, building momentum towards the conference tournament.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned earlier, that first round bye in the tournament is so crucial for a team, just to have one game off and being able to focus just solely on 2 games in that short weekend, and Grizz trying to get there.
Yeah, Montana, you see them there chasing Montana State. Weber State, who the Vandals just knocked off, and it's been a heck of a season for the Montana Grizzlies. They need to have a big second half. We'll come back at the break and we'll talk more about the first half of action as it's Idaho and Montana tonight. Grizzlies lead by 8 on ESPN+. Back at the half in Moscow, Idaho. Big Sky hoops tonight between the Montana Grizzlies and the Idaho Vandals. 8-point lead for Montana at the break. Welcome back in at the half, everybody. Trevor Williams, Chance Garvin, the rest of our crew. And Chance, when we talk about this game tonight, it starts for Montana, the burst that they were able to put on at the end of the half, and it really was supplied by Josh Bannon, who got it going.
Yeah, right. You see him just taking advantage of, a smaller player down low, going over his right shoulder, something he loves to do. You see here again, he loves that post up. Very patient with the ball. Again, going over his right shoulder.
He's been given fits a couple times by Idaho tonight, but he's done a really nice job of being patient in the post. Then a great start from the 6-man. You mentioned you love this. Cameron Parker, 13 points out of the gates in the first half. And when things were quiet early for Montana, he provided the light.
Yeah, definitely came in and was ready to play. And like we talked about, he's a great driver, but he's also able to, step outside of that 3-point line and be able to knock down a shot.
He had a couple 3-point plays and a 3-pointer as well as for Montana. That was big-time business in helping them carve out an 8-point lead at the end of the first half of play. A couple times that they had that 8-point lead, but it took them all the way until about the 4.5-minute mark to get a lead tonight. And that's got to be a bit inspiring for the Vandals, the way they played early in this game and what they could harness into the second half.
Yeah, definitely, but it's also something they don't want to lose. Going into the locker room, being down by 8, And so, I mean, something you got to think of when if you're Coach Claus, coming out at halftime, being ready to go again like you started the game, and being able to finish out the game just like that.
They're looking for a fast start in the second half, and they got steady play from Mikey Dixon, who was big against Weber State. He's going to have to be big again, but at the guard spot, he's been a big-time player for the Vandals.
Yeah, definitely another one of those guys that loves to drive the ball, and when you're kind of almost least expecting it, but expecting it, he's able to shoot it from the three-point line, as we see here. Obviously, that was his flop call, but
yeah, he's done a lot for Idaho tonight. Yusuf Salih started it, though, really for the Vandals. He supplied the points early. He had 12 points in the first half of play, averages 6 a game. The Vandals would like to see him keep going. It would be a sign that they can get some extra production from the guard spot.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, if you just see more players being able to step up, I mean, playing good, Idaho could have a chance tonight.
Yeah, Idaho down by 8 at the half. Montana trying to get to conference win number 11 as it's the Vandals and the Grizzlies tonight from the ICCU Arena in Moscow. We'll take one more timeout. We'll come back. We'll get everybody set up for the second half of action as it's Idaho and Montana tonight. More Big Sky Hoops on ESPN+. Both teams back on the floor warming up for the second half of play. A look at the comparisons from the first half. And it was a slow start for Montana, but they really turned it on. Good news for Idaho is they've taken care of the basketball, and I'd say they've forced a lot of turnovers, but really Montana's just on pace for another ho-hum 10 turnover game that ranks 20th in the country.
Right, and you see the two of the biggest things this game, the rebound and points in the paint there. Idaho only racking 13 rebounds as Montana with 22. You know, that's a big game changer, as well as points in the paint, being able to get it down to your big men and allowing them to score the rock.
A couple immediate timeouts in, it was 9-7 in boards for Idaho. So they've been on the wrong side of a 15-4 stretch on the glass. And wouldn't you know, that's the period where it changes from an 8-point Idaho lead to an 8-point Idaho deficit.
Yep.
See Zach Claus talking to his Vandals, trying to get them fired up for the second half. Interesting night so far in the Big Sky as Weber State just squeaked into the half with a 1-point lead. Or actually, excuse me, they're trailing by the half at 1 to Sacramento State. Idaho State's leading Northern Colorado 33-29. And Eastern Washington on top of Montana State 41-38. Montana was going to be another one of those teams that was going to be in danger until they turned it around. So now the way the night's shaping up, even bigger opportunity for the 4th place Grizzlies.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about this earlier in the season too. In the Big Sky, you never know. It's anybody's night.
And Montana starts with the basketball here in the second half. They had an 8-point lead twice, really on back-to-back possessions at the end of the half, 39-31 and then 42-34. 8 to shoot. It's going to be Bannon stretching it out, and he drops in a triple. 13 for Josh Bannon.
Tanner just getting stretched out just a little bit too much on that help.
Rashad Smith trying to answer out of the Vandal corner, and he does. First bucket for Rashad Smith. That is exactly 40% from 3, 40 for 100 for Rashad Smith this season. I can do that math. Beasley the third over a screen. Got it back from Carter Hollinger. Montana around the perimeter until they can get a drive for Whitney. He's stopped up.
Montana going back to that 4-out, 1-in.
Good defense played by Tanner Christensen. He's really grown up over the last couple weeks in limiting the fouls. That's a spot earlier in the year where he may have gotten fouled. He gets a chance for a 3-point play. Biggery forces it on Derek Carter Hollinger's third. So he avoids a foul on the defensive end, draws a foul, chance for a 3-point play on the offensive side of things.
You know, you mentioned him always being in foul trouble early on in the season, and you're right. He has done a great job later in the season being able to stay out of foul trouble. especially with Idaho only having 2 post players. I mean, that's big time.
Has he been talking to Pemple Jr. about the free throw stroke? I don't know if I
No,
noticed
I
it
don't
earlier
know.
in the year. This is behind the head. His teammate, Philip Pemple Jr., he'll pop it back there too. 5-point game. So Montana was in a little bit of trouble. Idaho's in a little bit of trouble because of the way Montana started the half. Trevante Anderson called for the foul. Scott Blakeney will check back in for Derek Carter Hollinger, who has 3 fouls. Only player with 3 so far tonight. Whitney called Blakeney up, and a kickball. Christensen's a guy who brings some good fire for Idaho, played for a strong program at University High School in Spokane. He looks a little more grown up because he was a 2018 high school grad and went on a 2-year LDS mission. So he's got that physical maturity for a young guy,
Right.
in terms of his athletic seasons. Salih's whistled for the foul. Salih shaking his head after the great start to the game for him. It's another guy who was a winner out of high school in Yusuf Salih. 26-3, 12-0 in conference for Highland High School out of Gainesville, Virginia. Brandon Whitney hits both of his free throws, 4 points for him. He was in double figures the first meeting with Idaho, part of a 3-game double-figure scoring stretch. Nice find underneath to Dixon, but he couldn't finish the play.
Yeah. Again, Montana just being patient with that ball.
Playing that perimeter, coming back to Martin Jr., and he rimmed out a 3. Another nice pass, and Dixon off his hands. Back-to-back possessions where he's been right there, and those hurt for the Vandals.
Almost like he's not used to being wide open like that.
Oh. So turnover number 5 for Idaho. Both teams 5 turnovers now. Early portions of the second half. Martin Jr. coming over a screen. Blakeney had the shot if he wanted it, passed it up to Whitney. And Whitney, that was tough against Salih. Good defense by the Vandal freshman. Anderson doubled out high. It's tipped high. Dixon saves it, and then he's bumped. Travis DeCuire did not care for the call, the foul on Brandon Whitney. I think he's got a case.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, a little push in the back there.
I spoke too soon. And he kind of shoved Christensen. I was going to say it seemed like Christensen knocked in to Dixon, but it was because of the push. And Anderson finishing inside of Blakeney. That's something Idaho really excels at. We've talked about it tonight. But that quick first dribble and then nice speed in the lane. And a foul called against Salih, trying to get position underneath Bannon. And Salih has his second of the early half. And now both benches are unhappy with how things are unfolding here in the first few minutes of the second half. Bannon, an Aussie who's been in double figures in all but 7 games this year. His 8 double-doubles are second in the Big Sky. And he's got 14 and 7 now after that free throw. Montana brings back Cameron Parker. Bannon's second comes up short. Next dead ball likely be a timeout, so a good time for Idaho to try to get a bucket here to cut it to a single possession game after they were down 8 at the half. Salih in the lane, threw it away, wanted Christensen. Parker's looking for the post. Bannon wanted it. They won't go that direction. Off the screen and roll, the Vandals force the loose ball. Salih's out for it, and Smith and Salih help funnel it to Anderson.
Man, you see that?
That was a big hustle play from the Vandals.
Yeah, great hustle play.
Christensen going to work in the post against Blakeney. Previously only seen in practice, but it results in free throws for Tanner Christensen. Against his former Idaho teammate, he draws a foul. Free throws coming. Vandals trying to get back within 2 possessions. A 6-point game in Moscow, Idaho. Potential moving night for the Montana Grizzlies, as there are a lot of upsets brewing in the Big Sky. Idaho was the team pulling the upsets this weekend against Weber State. How about Mikey Dixon and Trevante Anderson? When you get 2 guards combined for 57, you're going to win a lot of games, and they were phenomenal earlier on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, with it being a team with so little bigs, only 2 bigs, you know, actively playing most of their games, it's big time to have guards step up and being able to contribute points.
With Tanner Christensen at the free throw line out of the timeout. He's really providing some quality minutes, 5 points. The Vandals are +7 on the scoreboard when he's been on the floor tonight. Getting both his free throws there, and he only has 1 foul, so he figures to be on the floor a lot here in the second half. Blakeney off the roll, but he charges right into Rashad Smith.
That was great positioning. Scott didn't even see him set up.
And the 3rd foul on Blakeney. So now Blakeney, Whitney, Carter Hollinger all with 3 for Montana. So there's foul trouble kind of brewing all over the place for the Grizzlies, and Idaho could cut it to a 1-possession game. Anderson trying to use that speed to the bucket. Vasquez, some more good initial defense, but then a foul late on the play. And that is Vasquez's 3rd.
You know, as we mentioned, just about every game, Trevante, he does a great job when he's down low going up. He goes straight into his man, drawing that contact every time, making it look like a pretty decent foul.
He's been in double figures in his last 7 games. He's struggling at the free throw line tonight. If he can make the back end, it'll be 3 trips where he splits a pair. Jamil King comes back for the Vandals. Still, this free throw could cut it to a 1-possession game, and Anderson does just that. Philip Pemple Jr. come back in for Idaho. He had a couple big punctuating blocks through the end of the first half. Idaho giving Tanner Christensen a breather as they've got Scott Blakeney out of the game for the time being with 3 fouls. Bannon's back, and he goes inside out. That was a great find. Beasley the 3rd with his first points of the second half. And his 2nd triple of the night. Pemple Jr. set the screen. Anderson just got it out of trouble. King to the end line. Only 10 to shoot. Another nice pass down to Salih, and he just couldn't finish. Parker coming the other way. Cameron Parker, he's got a chance for a 3-point play. .15 for Parker, changes the pace the other direction. And drew it on Trevante Anderson. That is the first Vandal with 3 fouls, Trevante Anderson. When they've needed him tonight, Cameron Parker has provided big-time juice. Could give Montana its largest lead of the night.
Yeah, both times against Idaho. Back in Missoula even, another great scoring night for Parker.
He's got 16 tonight. First round against Idaho, scored 15. 20 is season high. King to find Quinnett. And Quinnett has his second 3.
Quinnett coming out off the bench, providing great minutes so far.
Yeah, he hit 1 3 in the first half that forced a Montana timeout at what was an 8-point Idaho lead. And got his second there to stop the bleeding. A travel by Cameron Parker, and it's turned over back to the Vandals. You see Parker losing the handle, then it came back in.
Kind of caught it between his knees there.
So now can Idaho take advantage off the turnover? King backing it down. Didn't like it. Out to Salih. 8 on the timer. King trying to feed Salih, and he was coming out high. The pass was going down low. Zach Claus looking over the floor. I mean a lot here late in the season if his guys could upset Weber State and Montana in back-to-back games. In the post, finish for Bannon. Chance for a 3-point play.
Again, over that right shoulder.
Yeah, he has 16 points, fouled by Pemple Jr. Again, every time now that Idaho starts to feel like they're gaining some ground, Montana's had the answer. Bannon still stuck on 7 rebounds, but does have 17 points. And it is the largest lead of the, or second largest, I should say. They had a 3-pointer out of the half, Montana did, to briefly take an 11-point advantage. King working his way down to the block, all with the pivot foot, and then Bannon, the rejection. And then King strips it off of Beasley the third to get it back to Idaho. Excuse me, that was Smith who forced the turnover.
Both teams, great defense right there.
It started with a block on the other end for Bannon. Step back 3 for Salih. He was making those in the first half. Now he's cooled off. 12 points all in the first half for Salih. Good ball movement into the post for Bannon. Bannon underneath Pemple Jr. and threw up a prayer. The free throws coming for Josh Bannon. The game's leading scorer with 17, putting Montana on his back, and has a chance to get the Grizzlies back to their largest lead with under 12 to go tonight in Moscow, Idaho. Big one for the Grizzlies on ESPN+. All right, a 9-point lead for the Montana Grizzlies. And Josh Bannon has a chance to stretch it to 11. Some notes on Bannon. Second in defensive rebounding in the Big Sky, but right up there near the lead in total boards. He's got a bit of a black eye.
Yeah.
That's because he mixes it up down there so well, and he has a chance to get near 20.
Yeah, definitely playing really aggressive down low. You know, scouting him last year, he was a big-time pull-up jump shot type of guy with his left hand, but now we're seeing him down low a lot.
Apparently he took an elbow at some point. Crowd really gets up for his second free throw, and he makes it 18 for Bannon, 10-point Montana lead. And Idaho's got to get it going in the second half as the Vandals are down to 45% shooting. Dixon losing his footing in the lane, and that's a travel. I say down to 45%. Most teams would be really happy with 45%, but the opposition against Montana this year, they're 1-11 if they shoot 45% or less, and there's no shot. If you're under 40% against Montana, you're not winning this season. Parker able to recover, and Christensen tapped it off the glass. Idaho keep it here. Idaho's coming off its best field goal percentage of the season. They put up 58.5%. Smith, well-timed three, is second of the half.
Definitely a big-time shot right there.
Idaho needs to string together some stops, something they haven't done particularly well this season. They're 5th to last in points allowed per game, but they get the takeaway. Quinnett with the steal. Dixon drew a double team. Smith bouncing down to Christensen. Didn't want to go left. Hooks with the right. Bannon
really wanted that left shoulder hook, man.
Bannon gave it to him. He saw it in the scowl. Because he gave him all he wanted if he would have spun it down towards the block.
Yeah.
Into the corner, a three the other direction for Beasley the third, and a foul called against Idaho on the rebound as Bannon hits the deck. Christensen his second. Halfway point of the second half, and we're at right about the margin we were at halftime. 7-point lead for Montana. A look back at the foul.
Yeah, I mean, I think that elbow being up around the neck area kind of
holding Bannon down as much as he could with the left hand. Bannon misses the front end of a 1-and-1. As that was foul number 7 on Idaho. Not a good free throw night for Bannon. 5 of 9 for an 80% foul shooter. Smith saw a window and he finishes. Gets it back to a 5-point deficit. Idaho had it to 2 possessions a few minutes back. And a whistle from the far side, a timeout taken by Montana, and we will take it as well. Travis DeCuire trying to stop a little 5-0 run for the Idaho Vandals as it's a 5-point game in Moscow. Good one brewing here down the stretch. So you're watching Big Sky basketball tonight on ESPN+. All right, the Idaho Vandals have cut it to a 5-point game. Montana, 4th place in the Big Sky coming in. Idaho just upset the number 2 team in the conference on Saturday. And there's an opportunity tonight for Montana to maybe gain some ground. There are a variety of teams near the top of the standings that were struggling. Good student turnout tonight inside ICCU Arena. First trip for the Montana Grizzlies to this new building. And it is Montana basketball coming out of this timeout. An important possession chance when you consider it's been 2 minutes and 20 seconds without a bucket for Montana, and they were just up by 10 a couple minutes ago. They don't want to let Idaho get back to a single possession.
Yeah, definitely. This game has been kind of back and forth a little bit. You know, maybe not in the score lead change, but both teams playing really hard.
Idaho held the lead in this game for the first 15 minutes. Anderson trying to stay with the screen.
Montana's trying to get that rip screen down low for Blakeney.
4 to shoot.
Wow,
long
deep
three off the mark. That'll work for Idaho on the defensive end. Now the Vandals do have that chance to cut it to a single possession. Rashad Smith
again.
He's got 11 in the second half, and it's a 2-point game now in Moscow, Idaho. 3 threes in the half for Rashad Smith and an 8-0 run for the Vandals. Carter Hollinger fading away on Anderson, and a good stop of the run for Derek Carter Hollinger.
Yeah, definitely recognize that mismatch right there.
Now Montana needs a stop as Idaho started to figure it out on the offensive end. Christensen recovers. Blakeney, though, slid down to help it out.
Great look. They've been trapping that that ball screen all night. See Tanner slipping that finally.
Whitney back up to Vasquez. Quinnett's defending him. It goes to Blakeney, and an elbow jumper off the mark. Anderson lobbing to Christensen. Christensen against Blakeney, and the jersey got untucked from Tanner Christensen. Easy call for the officials as Blakeney picks up his 4th. It's a timeout on the floor and a 2-possession game in Moscow, Idaho. The big men are starting to mix it up here down the stretch in this one. We got a timeout. We'll be back with more right after this here on ESPN+. All right, Rashad Smith playing some really big minutes here in the second half. 11 points for Smith, Chance, and 3 big threes here in the second half of play.
Yeah, he really came alive here in the mid second half here. Those 3 big-time threes.
All right, so it is Idaho basketball. Out of the timeout, Trevante Anderson.
Good take.
He's up to double figures, so 11 points.
Denying that on-ball screen, and Anderson just got around that defender. He got stuck behind the screen just a little too long there.
Now it's a 2-point game. Whitney the other way, got fouled. Ooh, it almost fell.
See that taking? Oh yeah, just.
Yep.
A little too
Boy,
much
that ball
check.
just would not go down for him. So 2 free throws, and the first rolls home for Whitney. Whitney perfect at the line tonight, and stays that way. 6 points for him. We got a good ball game brewing here down the stretch after Anderson's make the last time down for Idaho.
Looking for Christensen down low.
And again, Idaho nearing the 50% shooting mark. It's where you have to be against Montana to have success. Anderson drawing a foul this time. And if it's on Whitney, that's his 3rd. Actually, his 4th. They called it on Carter Hollinger, same story, his 4th.
Looking a little confused why that was called on him.
He's looking back at his bench saying, that was not me. He's looking for a replay. Anderson making the first free throw. I thought it was Hollinger coming through and kind of hitting the arm. That's 4 fouls for Carter Hollinger, 4 for Blakeney, 3 for Whitney, 3 for Vasquez. Idaho has Lee and Anderson with 3. But definitely more foul trouble over on the Montana side, which is going to make this a tougher coaching job down the stretch for Travis DeCure. If he wins tonight, he'd be 3rd all-time in wins in Big Sky coaching history, Travis DeCure. Vandals poked it loose, but it stays with Whitney. Cameron Parker trying to work on Anderson. Parker takes him all the way down, and he knew Anderson didn't want to get that 4th foul. 18 for Parker, 2 off his season high. Now the energy is really picked up in this building with a 2-possession game. Christensen in the post, and he slams it home.
Wow.
How about that move against Josh Bannon? Vandals fell the first time around, 81-62 to this Montana team. They're playing inspired tonight. And a miss pulled in by Christensen. Vandals could tie or take the lead on this possession.
Yeah, big time stop.
Last time Idaho led, it was 31-30 with 3:55 to play in the first half. And Whitney got in front of the pass. It's going to stay with the Vandals. Man, what an offensive possession for Tanner Christensen to back it all the way down to the dunk.
And you see that play, how patient he was. Got his man up in the air, and that's how he's able to rise up.
Smith out to Quinnett. Quinnett just off the mark. He had hit a couple threes in big moments in the game before that one.
You can almost feel it in the building. That went in.
Comes around to Whitney, 5.5 to go. It's tapped away. Smith diving out for it. And on the floor, a foul against Rashad Smith. These plays are so hard. Lonnell Martin Jr. dove out for it. And the boos are because everybody wants to travel.
You see both teams just playing hard, but definitely not allowed to jump on the back of a guy. So.
Yeah, and it's hard because as he's diving for the ball, it's rolling on the floor.
Right.
There's not possession yet.
Right.
You know, the crowd's thinking possession as soon as his hand touches that ball.
Yeah.
Rashad Smith with his second foul. It is a single bonus for Montana and Lonnell Martin Jr. First free throw for him tonight, he missed it. Boy, this crowd has really gotten into it now here in the second half. It's turned into a really nice crowd tonight in Idaho. Christensen going back to work.
And again. Oh my.
For Tanner Christensen, and a flop warning against Josh Bannon to add insult to injury. And we are all tied up. 5:12 to go, in this arena on its feet thanks to a couple slams from Tanner Christensen.
Man, you can definitely feel it in the arena now. Everyone's up on their feet.
It's a 30-second timeout that'll go full. We'll take it too. Brand new ball game, 5:12 to go. As we look back at Christensen against Bannon.
And see Tanner just hyped up right there.
How about that move? This has been signaled a full timeout on the floor. We'll keep it here. 5:12 to go.
And you see Bannon just a little bit, you know, smaller size than Tanner, which makes it hard as a post player being able to stop someone, you know, backing you down full force. And he's just trying his best, trying to
sell it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Crowd's hyped up here. A little game reset for you. Bannon and Parker for Montana each have 18 points. They lead all scorers, but Idaho now with the Christensen dunk has 4 players in double figures. Tremonte Anderson leads it with 13. Then you have Yusuf Salih with 12, Rashad Smith with 11, and Tanner Christensen with 10 points. So a little different how these two teams have gotten it done. Montana kind of the prong attack, and Idaho's spreading it out. The other story developing for Montana are the foul issues. There's one too many on the screen there for Vasquez. We have him for 3, but 4 for each. Blakeney and Carter Hollinger, who are post players for the Grizzlies. Neither in on this possession.
Montana definitely needing a score here on this possession. Try to quiet that crowd.
Whitney against Salih. Salih kept his hands up, and Smith pops it over to Tremonte Anderson. This is a 2-minute scoreless stretch right now for Montana, and Idaho has made 3 of its last 4. Hand off Salih. Salih pulling up at the elbow, and the Vandals lead. First lead since 3:55 in the first.
Salih with his first basket after starting off hot in the beginning of the game.
He had 12 points first half. Crowd into it on the defensive side now. And Smith, it'll stay with Montana. He was trying to say it was off Robbie Beasley III. He wants a review. You can't have it at the 4:14 mark. We'll see it though.
Maybe.
Need the baseline angle. You see Smith wanted the review. The Idaho bench being told to sit down. There is no review with 4:14 to go. It's got to be under 2 minutes. Officials just settling some of the excitement between these two sides. Here comes the bounce into Bannon.
See Bannon going to go back to his move here.
Can he return the
that right
favor
shoulder
to Christensen?
Oh, man.
Could not. Christensen does pick up the foul, his third. And Bannon has some free throws coming up. Has been uncharacteristically bad from the line tonight, 5 of 10. But he's an 80% foul shooter on the season. And he makes the first. Bannon's got the double-double now. That's his 9th. Came in second in the Big Sky in that category and splits another trip. So it is still an Idaho lead, 66-65. Coming in on the final 4 minutes. Salih around a screen. He's heating back up.
There he is.
A career night for Yusuf Salih. The freshman has 17 and Idaho by 4. Parker, Lionel Martin Jr. short on a 3. Carter Hollinger's back in, a big offensive rebound. Stutter step by Cameron Parker and an easy finish. 20 points for Cameron Parker. That matches the season high for the senior. And a timeout to take us to 1 on the floor as well. We've got a 1-possession game. These teams have jockeyed for position at the end of either half. Who's going to take it home? Find out next. All right, the Idaho Vandals have a 2-point lead. Chance, I just heard you gawking over the stat sheet, and I think it's the plus-minus on Tanner Christensen that you're looking at. Yeah. Plus 19 on the floor, and the big man's played a big role for Idaho. They needed it against a Montana team that has strong bigs.
Yeah, and you know, you said it earlier. Later in the season, he's been staying out of foul trouble, and this is a result of that. Being out of foul trouble, he can make an impact on the court. You're seeing that tonight.
He's played almost 25 minutes as the Vandals break their huddle with a 2-point lead, 3:32 to play. Possession arrow favors Idaho. And things have kind of evened themselves back out. How about Yusuf Salih, Cameron Parker? They've each had career nights tonight. Salih 17 points, a best for the freshman. And Cameron Parker, the senior, ties his career high of 20 this evening. He scored 20 earlier this season against Air Force in non-conference play, once against Sacramento State last year. So the Vandals have possession out of the timeout. Anderson looking for help. No back cut with Smith. Only 10 left on the shot clock.
See that Montana defense playing in those passing gaps, making it hard for them to pass it out.
Gwinnett only has 4 on the timer. Anderson's going to have to take a deep one. And he just gets it up in time. It's off iron.
Great defense by Montana. Definitely a stop that they needed.
Now they can come down and look for a quick score. They've got a chance to take the lead back on this possession. Cameron Parker thinking about it. Kicks it out. Carter Hollinger, he splashes it home, and Montana's back in front. Only the 18th 3 of the season for the junior from San Diego.
Again, Parker does a great job drawing that two-way help, finding his open people or open players out on the three-point line.
And it's Idaho trying to answer. Christensen in the post.
Another strong move.
That's Christensen with 12 and 6 now. And 11 of his 12 in the second half. 71-70 Idaho. This game coming right down to the finish. Cameron Parker against Rashad Smith, and just enough defense from Smith. Boy, that cup's been unfriendly on that side. Montana's had a few that I've thought for sure would be down over there. Anderson motioning Christensen away. They're going to post him up. Why not? Down to the big man.
This time goes over his right shoulder. Nice.
How about that? 14. We were calling for that earlier, and he spun it to his right shoulder. 73-70. This second-year freshman, he's had a big last couple of games. Connor Hollinger, though, another big answer. All of a sudden, he's doubled his scoring output. He keeps Montana within one. Idaho has 2 timeouts. Montana has 1. Arrow still with the Vandals with 70 ticks left in regulation. Both teams are in the bonus, but only a single bonus for Idaho. Christensen draws a double. Smith takes some contacts, and it's going to be called after the shot on the rebound. And it goes against Brandon Whitney. Or no, excuse me, Josh Bannon. He is not one of the bigs in foul trouble. It's just his second. Smith wanted the contact on the shot, not the rebound, but he will get free throws nonetheless. This is the 1-and-1 variety. And Smith is a 66% free throw shooter. Makes the front end of the 1-and-1. Huge free throw for Rashad Smith. He's made the most three-pointers for Idaho this season. He's a vocal leader, energy guy for the Vandals.
Yeah.
And he gives them a 3-point lead.
Definitely been stepping up the second half here.
And Montana will take a 30-second timeout. 75-72, less than a minute to play. We'll stay right here. And that's it on timeouts for the Grizzlies, as they had to use a couple to stop Idaho runs in the first and second half.
Yeah.
And how about the job the Vandals have done to come back in the second half, down 8. They had a 16-point swing from an 8-point lead in the first half to an 8-point halftime deficit. And it's a team that shot the three well, and they've done it tonight. 9 of 15 from 3. Montana's been great too, 7 of 16. But that volume coming down to 15 three-point attempts, that tells you the story of the game, where Idaho's been able to feed it inside and be very deliberate offensively.
Yeah, definitely. We've been seeing that all night, especially the second half. They've been feeding Tanner all, second half, and he's been making his baskets, and so that's a big game changer for Idaho playing tonight.
It ties for Tanner Christensen, his high in scoring for both the season and the career. And in minutes, I think it's his best this year as well, as he's stayed on the floor. Cameron Parker rejected by the rim, and Rashad Smith is fouled right away on the rebound by Lonnell Martin Jr.
Big time stop from Idaho. 47 seconds left in the game.
And that was tough for Cameron Parker. This would have been the new career high, but Smith did enough, making him have to make that extra movement, sucked him under the basket.
Yeah. And really, with a guy like Parker that is able to, put it down low and score that basket, making him have those extra movements, trying to put the ball up into the basket, it's great defense.
So Smith just hit 2 big free throws a moment ago, and he hits a 3rd consecutive. Boy, he has been clutch in the second half. All 14 points for Rashad Smith after the break. And Travis DeCure starting to get nervous at the top of the Montana bench, as Smith hits them both. 15 points. He's 2 off the team lead in scoring all in the second half. And Montana doesn't need threes yet, but they need a make. Bannon against Christensen. Goes inside, and that's a big make for Josh Bannon.
Definitely a big make.
And we were off by 1 on our timeouts on the board. Montana had 1 more. So this is their final timeout now. After the make, they can set up the defense Not enough time between the shot and game clock to play it out here, but certainly enough time to go for a quick steal, a quick trap, trying to see if you can get Idaho into a nasty situation.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Coach DeKeer's talking to his team over there about. You know, got to get a stop. And, you know, it's probably the most important possession that Montana's going to play for the rest of this game. So they got to do a great job keeping their men in front and try not to foul on a shot.
The state of Idaho tonight is wreaking havoc in the Big Sky. Idaho State has a lead against Northern Colorado with 39 seconds to play.
Wow.
That's a one-possession game as well. That's being played to the south in Idaho State. And then Idaho with a 75-72 lead over Montana. Everything else in the conference is normalized, except for Northern Arizona down to Portland State at the half. Although the Vikings have been on a good run of late. Remind you, the arrow is still with Idaho. They have one timeout remaining if they do get into a bad situation here. But a big bucket just a moment ago by Josh Bannon got him to 21 points. Where are you looking here? You got a lot of options, Chance, if you're Idaho.
Yeah.
But you want to get into free throw shooters' hands. I mean, Mikey Dixon struggled at the line. Rashad Smith has been the hottest. But do you get it back to Mikey and just trust that the stats even themselves out?
You know, I think I would go with the hot hand here, and either Yusuf or Rashad Smith. Try to get into one of their hands.
Travis DeKeer, of course, sets up the press.
Here, looks like Idaho's trying to get into Mikey's hands.
They've got him running from the open near side of the floor, and he will get to it. He'll be trapped along the end line. Gets it to Smith. Smith turning up floor.
Smith trying to...
Wow, nice handles over the timeline, and then he got tripped up. So be against Montana and Vasquez. And the fourth on Vasquez.
Big time free throws here. Still only a one possession game, so he's got to knock these in.
So it still hinges on Smith, although he's out of the 1-and-1 situation.
Man, kind of got lucky there.
Yeah, he almost had it stolen away by Robbie Beasley III. So the benefit this time is not as much pressure on the first shot for Smith. He needs just one to make it a two-possession lead, but two are huge here. And he makes the first. Boy, he has been steady. Came to the Vandals from Grand Canyon University. And misses the second. So
nonetheless, still making a two-possession game.
Yep. Whitney the other way. That was a quick opportunity. It's back in the hands of Whitney, and he threw it off Smith. 16 seconds, Montana basketball. And Whitney, for now, saves the game for the Grizzlies on the rebound, and the officials are going to look at it. They had time to see along the end line where Whitney's heels were.
Yeah.
That's the only hope, I think, for Idaho here. If he stayed in tightrope, that heck of a play by Whitney in this spot.
You know, right now, if you're Idaho, you're talking about defense right now, just in case here. You definitely don't want to give up an easy basket. Trying to keep your guys in front of you. Being out there, closing out on the three-point line. You know, playing a strong defense here. Trying not to foul.
For Montana, it's a little dicier. I mean, you've got Idaho's in the double bonus. You're running out of time. And it could be a situation where you're looking for a three. Montana shot the three well tonight. So you see Travis DeKeer speaking to his huddle. But again, still not one you want to force in this spot. It's got to be a good shot if you're going to get it. Because a miss on this possession and you're almost certainly done if you're Montana. Officials saw nothing to change it, staying with the Grizzlies. They did add a 1/10 of a second back to the clock. We'll see. That could be important the way this game's gone. Idaho held an 8-point lead in the first half. Montana 11 in the second half, and here we are. Real tight down the stretch. The three off the mark, but Bannon grabs the long rebound. Misses the chance down the lane, and Smith will keep it in his hands. That may be it for Montana tonight. in Moscow, Idaho, as this ICCU Arena crowd comes to its feet.
Yeah, you can kind of see it on the Montana players' faces right now. They're kind of feeling this, you know, coming to the end.
How about this for the Idaho Vandals as Smith makes the first. They just knocked off Weber State on Saturday. It was second in the Big Sky, and now they could defeat Montana, who's fourth in the conference, and beat the Vandals by 20 earlier this year. 18 for Smith. What a second half for Rashad Smith. 18 points and a 6-point Idaho lead with only 7 seconds left.
Just got to keep him in front, hands high. I was going straight to the rim.
Yeah, they'll let Parker have that.
Man, what a game.
What an exciting one. Smith into Salih. There will be a foul with under a second. And Yusuf Salih can pad his career 17. And you know what? We talked about for Montana how important it is down the stretch to get some momentum into the conference tournament.
Yeah.
How about for Idaho? I mean, they're building some momentum.
Definitely. You know, going into the conference tournament, feeling good about yourself, that's really key and important for a team, especially like Idaho, you know, has been struggling all season. Going into the tournament with that confidence will be big time if they can continue this throughout the rest of the regular season.
I mean, everything down the stretch now for Idaho is against teams in the middle of the conference or lower. So, I mean, there's a chance to improve some seeding, continue to get some confidence. The Vandals keep playing as well as they have. Could be a great finish to the regular season. 19 for Yusuf Salih.
There it is.
18 in the second half for Rashad Smith, and for a second straight game, the Vandals shocked the visitors in the Big Sky, 82-76. And that feels good for this locker room. If you're Idaho, their 4th conference win. If you're Montana, this is a tough loss, 10-6, and you got to rebound quickly because you go on the road next against Southern Utah, good team in this conference.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Idaho just stuck to their game plan all night. You know, having that 8-point deficit going into the half and coming out strong like they did at the beginning of the game. You know, we talked about that. They really did execute that game plan, and you know, good for them. And the game was a great game. Montana just, you know, being Montana, was playing great. Great defense, great offense. I mean, it's a great game to watch, great game to be here.
Well, Zach Smith said it on the radio after the win against Weber State. He said, we beat a team that you could call number 1, say 1A. He said the 1B is Montana, and Idaho does it. They take down 1A, 1B in their last 2 games, 2 big upsets, and the Vandals win it 82-76. For Chance Garvin, this is Trevor Williams saying so long from Moscow, Idaho. Reminder, all broadcasts on ESPN are live and archived on the ESPN app. Good night, everybody.